We're going to start to take a look at Chapter 19. Chapter 19 is the first of three chapters that collectively deal with the cardiovascular system. Each one of those chapters will take a look at an individual component of the cardiovascular system to get a better picture of the entire system overall. The focus of Chapter 19 is the blood. If you don't recall from your days in AMP 1, blood is a liquid connective tissue. It has a liquid extracellular matrix called plasma, and then it has a variety of cells and cell fragments that we'll discuss when we take a look at the components found within blood. But for right now, we want to talk about the functions of blood. And for this concept, usually I refer to what I call the three shuns. The three shuns that ultimately give you the general functions of blood are going to be transportation, regulation, and also protection. So shun, shun, and shun, so to speak, protection, regulation, and also transportation. When you look at blood, its ability to move throughout the human body allows it to transport various items that are obviously needed to move, that obviously need to move rather from one point in the human body to another, such as nutrients and waste. When we consider the regulatory aspect of the function of blood, you can see I've listed for you a variety of parameters that blood is involved in regulating, such as pH, body temperature, and also fluid balance. The pH of the body is maintained in part by the activities of the blood via various buffer systems that are found within the blood that help prevent rapid changes in the pH of the body. When you look at the body temperature regulation aspect, all you need to do is consider maybe what happened the last time you yourself were cold. Typically what happens is the extremities get colder first than the other organs or the other areas of the body. This is because what your body does when it's very cold is that it begins to shunt blood away from your extremities like your hands, fingers, and toes and toward your core in order to keep your lungs and your heart and your other vital internal organs warm. The same happens when you get overly hot. Blood begins to flow more toward the skin so that it can allow heat to evaporate. So you got the body temperature regulation aspect to blood's function as well. And finally, we can mention fluid balance. The osmotic pressure of blood helps determine where the fluid within your body will be. So suffice it to say, the amount of solute that's present in your blood, which is essentially a way, or rather which osmotic pressure is essentially a way of measuring, is going to help determine whether the fluid is within your cells or outside of your cells. And finally, we have protection. There's a couple of different examples of the manner in which blood will protect you. First of all, it helps protect you from the loss of blood in general. This is accomplished by blood clotting, which we'll discuss later in the chapter. And secondly, you'll see that some of the cells and cell fragments that we find within blood are called white blood cells. And these white blood cells, such as neutrophils, eosinophils, and the list goes on, in addition to other components within blood, some of the proteins found within blood, all aid in helping protect the human body from potential disease. Next, we want to say a few words here about the physical characteristics of blood. So when you literally look at blood, these are some of the characteristics that you can see. First of all, you'll see that blood is thicker than water. Yes, that old saying is true. Sometimes we say that blood is thicker than water, obviously, or more viscous than water, excuse me. Blood is also a warm fluid. On average, blood will be about 1 degree warmer than the average body temperature. It's very important also that you remember the pH range of blood. The pH range of blood is 7.35 to 7.45. A pH below 7.35 is referred to as an acidosis. A pH above 7.45 is referred to as an alkalosis. I don't usually ask you to remember a lot of numbers, but you absolutely must remember that pH range for blood. You should be able to tell me what the pH range is, and also the fact that the average pH, which is right in the middle of the range, is 7.4. The color of blood can range anywhere from being bright red when it's carrying a lot of oxygen or when it's oxygenated to dark red when it doesn't have a lot of oxygen within it or it's what we call deoxygenated. And finally, we have the amount of blood that's typically seen within a given individual. For men, that volume is usually going to be 5 to 6 liters of blood. For women, anywhere from 4 to 5 liters. Usually the difference is all about body mass. Men usually a little bit greater mass, a little bit more muscle mass as well. This leads to a little bit more blood on average for a man.